On August 31st, Brazil's Supreme Court ordered the nationwide suspension of the social media platform X, owned by Elon Musk. This marked a dramatic escalation in the ongoing conflict between Musk's companies and the Brazilian judiciary. Justice Alexandre de Moraes issued the order after X failed to appoint a legal representative in Brazil, a requirement set by the court to enforce compliance with local laws. The suspension follows a prolonged dispute over X's role in managing accounts linked to far-right activities, particularly those associated with former President Jair Bolsonaro. Justice de Moraes emphasized that X's failure to comply with court orders, refusal to pay fines, and its facilitation of what he described as hateful and racist speech were key factors in his decision. These actions, he argued, interfered with Brazil's democratic processes, especially in the lead-up to the upcoming municipal elections. De Moraes did not hold back, labeling Musk as an outlaw who seeks to allow the massive spread of disinformation, hate speech, and attacks on the democratic rule of law, violating the free choice of the electorate by keeping voters away from real and accurate information. Musk responded with sharp criticism, calling de Moraes an unelected pseudo-judge who is destroying free speech in Brazil for political purposes. He also noted that users could still access X through VPNs, though de Moraes warned that fines would be imposed on those attempting to bypass the ban using such methods. In a provocative move, Musk posted an AI-generated image of de Moraes behind bars, captioned, "One day, Alexander, this picture of you in prison will be real. Mark my words." The suspension of X will remain in effect until the platform complies with the court's orders, which include appointing a legal representative and settling outstanding fines. Additionally, Justice de Moraes directed major tech companies like Apple and Google to remove the X app from their stores and block its use on mobile systems in Brazil. However, the situation becomes even more complex when considering Musk's other business operations in Brazil. Just days before the suspension of X, de Moraes ordered the freezing of financial assets belonging to Starlink, Musk's satellite internet company, to enforce fines imposed on X. Despite Starlink being a separate entity from X, the court stretched the law to target it due to Musk's ownership of both companies. This move has raised questions about judicial overreach and the rationale behind holding one company accountable for the alleged actions of another. Brazilian law allows for the piercing of the corporate veil when separate entities are used to evade legal responsibilities. However, applying this principle to link X and Starlink seems unusually broad. Starlink is a satellite internet provider, not a social media platform, making its involvement in a dispute centered on X's content moderation policies murky. Critics argue that this action could set a dangerous precedent, complicating the business environment for foreign investors in Brazil and potentially affecting how multinational companies operate under different legal jurisdictions. The involvement of Starlink in this legal battle increases the already high stakes for both sides. For Justice de Moraes and the Brazilian judiciary, this is about more than just enforcing fines. It's about asserting the rule of law and curbing the influence of powerful figures they believe are undermining Brazil's democracy. For Musk, the stakes are astronomically through the roof. His public persona as a champion of free speech is at risk. And the financial implications of the court's actions could have ripple effects across his global business empire. Yet there is a deeper layer to this conflict that cannot be ignored. The timing and intensity of Brazil's actions against Musk raise significant questions, particularly when viewed through the lens of international power dynamics. It's no secret that the American deep state, spanning both corporate Republican and Democratic interests, has grown increasingly uneasy with Musk's unpredictable influence over social media and communication networks. Despite his public stance as a free speech advocate, Musk has made few substantial policy changes at X. Instead, he has made ad hoc decisions that often serve his immediate interests rather than enacting meaningful reform. This lack of substantive change fuels skepticism about his commitment to free speech. Critics argue that Brazil's aggressive stance against Musk, particularly in the context of de Moraes' actions, is not merely a domestic issue. The U.S. government, under the guise of protecting democracy, has shown a keen interest in curbing Musk's power. whether through diplomatic channels, legal pressures, or, as some suspect, leveraging international allies like Brazil to apply pressure from multiple angles. This approach mirrors what is happening in France, where President Emmanuel Macron's government has targeted Pavel Durov, the founder and CEO of Telegram, another platform that has challenged the global establishment. Just as Durov faces scrutiny in France, Musk's troubles in Brazil can be seen as part of a coordinated effort to rein in tech moguls who challenge the status quo. In the context of Brazil's political situation, the relative silence of President Lula is notable. Lula, who has focused on stabilizing the country after Bolsonaro's tumultuous tenure, has largely left these legal battles to the judiciary. This aligns with Brazil's separation of powers, where the judiciary operates independently of the executive branch. However, Lula's administration is undoubtedly watching the situation closely, as the outcome could have significant implications for Brazil's relationship with global tech giants and the future of its digital landscape. Justice Alexandre de Moraes, meanwhile, remains a central figure in this unfolding drama. Brazilian justices, particularly those on the Supreme Federal Court, can initiate investigations and make unilateral decisions that carry significant weight. This makes them powerful actors in Brazil's legal system, especially in times of crisis. De Moraes, who has been described as one of the most powerful justices in Brazil, has not hesitated to use his authority to confront what he sees as threats to the country's democratic fabric. As we return to the present, the conflict between Musk's companies and Brazil's Supreme Court shows no signs of abating. The suspension of X and the freezing of Starlink's assets are just the latest chapters in a story rooted in Brazil's struggles with information control, political maneuvering, and the defense of democratic principles. But it is also a story deeply intertwined with global power dynamics and the influence of the American deep state. How this story will end remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the battle lines have been drawn, and neither side is willing to back down.
Middle MAGA.